Hey guys, what's going on? Jeb here, and I hope you guys are all having a great quarantine break. We've all been off for a little while, and it's all been rather hectic, but we're having fun here at Crypto Jeb headquarters. That's what my house is called now, sure. Anyway, I hope you guys are all having a wonderful day. In today's video, though, we are going to be talking about some bullish technicals that I have personally gone ahead and found on Bitcoin that I want to bring to your attention because, as you know, about 3 weeks ago, the major apocalypse happened and Bitcoin fell 50% in the span of 48 hours, something I haven't seen happen in about, a couple days because it's Bitcoin. Anyway, Bitcoin is still in a very precarious spot because of the news. That much is obvious, but I do want to bring these technicals to your attention because should the news start to die off, or should the news have less of an impact on markets than we think, these technicals that I'm about to show you are actually going to be very significant and important for the continued bullishness of the Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency markets. And even if Bitcoin does not manage to sustain and continue this uptrend that it has been in over the last 2 weeks, it would still be nice to see these bullish technical indicators have some kind of supportive, buoyant effect on Bitcoin to keep us above major levels of support. So if you guys do enjoy today's video, consider hitting that like and subscribe button. You guys are going to get a lot of value today. But without much further ado, guys, let's go ahead and dive right on into it. Guys, as you know, we've all kind of gone into lockdown, quarantine, stay-at-home orders, and of course, because of that, I have gone and done all of my grocery shopping in preparation for this so that I don't have to leave my house as much as possible so that I can stay, healthy. And I went to the store and I was reminded of the most important quarantine item that you can possibly have. You can see the cap of it right here. That would be, of course, easy cheese. If you guys are going into quarantine, you need some of this, go down to the store and get some. You will thank me. Oh my God, what am I doing with my life? Anyway, guys, let's go ahead and dive on into some analysis, shall we? As you guys can see here, a new weekly candlestick has opened, and it has opened relatively green so far. One thing that I'm concerned about is the gigantic long upper shadow that was left on the previous week's candlestick because Bitcoin had a little bit of a correction before the trading day ended yesterday. But ever since that pullback, Bitcoin has actually managed to bounce pretty heavily. In fact, we've rallied 8% in the last 14 hours. That's not bad. Of course, Bitcoin is still testing resistance here at $6,900, and in fact, if you were to go ahead and draw a trend line right here, you would see that this is kind of a rising wedge in a downtrend. Those don't happen very often, but it's a bullish thing. For those of you guys who are in the Cryptocurrency Technical Analysis Academy, that link is in the description down below. By the way, you will know an ascending triangle pattern will about 70% of the time break to the upside, but whenever you have a triangle pattern like this following a downtrend, it is a bearish flag, or a pennant in this case, which means that about 70% of the time it's going to break to the downside. When those two things conflict, it more or less comes up to a coin toss. We're just going to have to wait and see what happens. For now, though, however, I do want to draw your attention to this right here because Bitcoin did have an uptrend at this point in history, and Bitcoin was trying very, very hard to break $6,900, but we rejected. But also what's important is that I want you to note Bitcoin did reject here, and we did fall below this uptrend of support, but how far did we fall? Did we fall all the way down to $4,000 like we did 2 or 3 weeks ago when all of this started? No, we only fell 11%, and we've actually rallied pretty close back to where we started, up 8% from where we fell to. One thing I ought to also point out to you guys is that Bitcoin is currently testing a couple of moving averages down here on the 1 hourly chart. That would be the 100 and the 200 simple moving average. That may or may not be relevant by the time this video goes out, but hopefully it is. That is a level that I want to see Bitcoin break. But getting on to what we actually made this video about, and that would be some bullish pulses that I saw out on the longer term time frames. One of them, in fact, is right here on the daily chart. As you guys can see, Bitcoin's MACD was trending to the downside. Its histogram, rather, was trending to the downside, meaning our two histogram lines, the MACD line and the signal line, were converging on themselves, meaning a bearish cross was likely to come. But today, we have seen so far anyway, that there is actually divergence in the MACD line and the signal line, which is a very good thing because it gives us more time for bullishness. In fact, if Bitcoin does manage to rally up here to $6,900 and break out, this is going to start separating and diverging very quickly. That's a very big what-if scenario, though, so let's keep going. The other signal I wanted to show you is actually out on the weekly chart, and it's a very similar signal to the one I just showed you because, as you can see, the weekly chart MACD with the closing of last week's candlestick is actually converging bullish again, and that's a very good sign, guys. This doesn't happen very often. The daily chart can do what it does, but the weekly chart does not have switches on the histogram quite as often. There are fake outs. As you can see on the histogram, there was one right here and there was one right there. But you will also notice In the last over a year, the only two times that we've had a fake out on a histogram direction change, right here and right here, was relatively soon. In fact, 4 weeks later, preceded by a genuine histogram direction change that did in fact lead to a cross. What that means is that if this trend continues, and we don't necessarily know that it's going to, but if this trend continues of histogram direction changes leading to crosses or eventually leading to crosses with a couple more weeks of bearishness or bullishness, that means that in the next 2 to 4 months, we should be seeing a bullish cross on the MACD. And it's interesting that we're seeing signs this early when the news isn't even that far along yet compared to where I think it's going to go, and considering that we've only been bouncing for 3 weeks after our major correction here in the month of February. Definitely want to keep an eye on these longer term technicals, guys. Now here's the rub. Bitcoin is probably going to correct farther. It is probably going to correct down to at least $5,500, maybe even $5,000, because there is not many things that you can be certain of other than death, taxes, the sun will rise tomorrow. And I can't say that on air, actually. But one thing you can be certain of right now is that the news is not over, and it is going to get worse before it gets better. And when it gets worse, it is going to have major implications for the stock market and for the cryptocurrency market. And those are not going to be good implications, in my humble opinion, at least in the short term. In the long term, it may be a very bullish thing for Bitcoin, as morbid as it is in real life. But for the short term, I don't see this being a good thing for any market. Why would it be? I really don't see why it would be. The vast majority of people do not look to invest in times like these. They look to put food on the table and rent in their landlord's pocket in times like these, not money into investments, and especially into speculative investments like Bitcoin. That being said, when Bitcoin weathers this and when Bitcoin survives, it is going to come out the other side looking a lot sexier than it ever has, in my humble opinion. So guys, where this leaves us is I believe there's a trading range that we're sitting in right now between about $5,500 and $7,000. Those levels, of course, come from $5,500 to $5,600 being the 200 weekly simple moving average, and $6,900 to $7,000 being a major VPVR level of resistance that we have seen Bitcoin reject at several times now, sitting right up there. If you look at the last year of recorded price data, you're going to see a pretty big spike here at $7,200, and then another one up at $79. And of course, that $6,900 level is exactly where we topped out on both of these weekly candlesticks, and it's where Bitcoin found support back over here. Remember, we are using previous support as current resistance, which does mean that we're in quite a bit more bearish state now than we have been in a while. What matters right now, however, guys, is not really technical analysis. Technical analysis is very important, and now, by the way, is a great time to be learning technical analysis because it is still relevant. Technical analysis will always be the language of trading and investing in the same way math is the language of physics and science. In this one moment in history, the fundamentals and the news impacting the cryptocurrency market seem to have a slightly stronger impact. So it's important to look at the technical analysis, but it's just as important, if not more important, to be looking at the news as well. Here is what you guys should be working on right now. In my opinion, not financial advice. Don't sue me. I'd appreciate it. Thank you. 1. Focus on improving yourself. Whenever you have downtime in your life, I have always found the best thing to do, one of the most rewarding and fulfilling things to do, is to work on self-improvement. Make sure you have yourself a routine. Make sure you're getting up out of bed early in the morning and you're not sleeping the day away. I promise you it's going to mess with your mental state if you do that. Notice how these videos have been getting out later. Speaking from experience. Make sure you have something that you're working on because it's going to fill that piece of you that is just going to sit there unfulfilled. And frankly, it's going to feel like a weight on your chest if you're walking around every day and just not doing anything. Right now is a great time to be learning technical analysis, and this is not going into a sales pitch. This is just me simply telling you, look back on the market and see what Bitcoin does in times like these. See how Bitcoin responds to moving averages and technical indicators and everything. Number 1, be working on yourself. Number 2, be cautious and be respectful and be responsible. There's a very good reason to be all of those things right now because there is a very dangerous thing happening right now, and I don't want anything happening to you guys or to anyone you know or anyone in general, obviously, for that matter. So number 1, focus on working on yourself and improving yourself. Maybe you can work on your piano. Maybe you can work on the violin. My violin's sitting right over there. In fact, you guys have never seen my violin. Let me show you. So this is Victoria. This is the violin I've had for a very long time. She's great. Haven't played enough in a little while, so now I'm going to start doing that some more because I have more free time, and it's the responsible and safe and cautious thing to do. Stay at home and play some music. It'll be great. Victoria's just going to sit with us for the rest of this video. She's just going to sit right here. Right here. Okay, cool. And the third thing you guys ought to be doing is making sure you are looking around at your community and your friends and your family and people that need you and seeing where you are able to be used for charitable things and for good causes. I've told you before, I'm doing the grocery shopping for people in my life that I want to make sure are taken well care of and do not get sick, because it would be very bad if some of these people were to get sick. So I'm trying to do everything and go out and do all of the running around and errands for all of them so that they don't have to do that. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. You don't have to donate your life savings to the charity next door. You don't have to do all of that to be a good person and to help people through times like these. You can help the people immediately around you, and that's all that's really... I mean, if everybody did that, then the world would be a much better place. It starts with us. So number 1, be active. Number 2, be cautious. Number 3, be charitable. And we're all going to get through this a lot happier, healthier, and probably more skilled than ever before. But I don't know. I'm really, I've never played the violin before on the channel. You guys want me to? I can. No, I was originally going to hang Victoria right there instead of the Bitcoin sign, but I decided to go ahead and put the Bitcoin sign up since I'm crypto Jeb, not violin Jeb. So now she just sits in her case. It's great. And by the way, for those of you who are not into string instruments or instruments in general, yes, it is very common to name your instrument. I'm not just crazy. Well, I am crazy. I did go to clown college, but yeah. Anyway, guys, I well and truly do believe that I have covered quite a lot in this video, so if you guys did get some good value out of this video, consider hitting the like and subscribe button down below. It really helps out the channel when you do that, and I would be very appreciative if you did. Fun violin anatomy fact of the day, this right here, it's called a scroll. It's pretty cool, yeah. But anyway, guys, that is going to wrap it out for today's video. Before I go, though, I do first want to thank each and every single last one of you for watching, as always, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.